Glory to Jesus Christ. Good evening. I'm very glad to see you. We are not many, but we are holy, and hopefully other people will join us after through YouTube. We have terrible weather, terrible wind, rain, a lot of sick people, a lot of different viruses. So I'm glad that we, in all these troubles, can continue with smallest presence, with worst presence, but with presence. So thank you for being here. I decided to change a little bit my approach, because first idea was to dedicate couple lessons, couple meetings to Christological heresies, to theological mistakes inside of the church in first centuries about Christ. But I noticed that it goes, you know, to you pretty hard, pretty difficult. It's probably very theoretical, you know, topic, and also it does not affect your lives directly. Something that was, you know. So I changed it a little bit. We still in Christology. We still in the beginning of the church. We are in the 3rd, 4th century, 5th, and we will speak about heresies. But I would like now concentrate your attention, pull your attention on another topic. I would like to speak about two very important centers of thinking, of spiritual life, and also theological life, that it will be more interesting for you from point of view of spirituality, also Bible, also theology and history, and after, in context, we will speak a little bit about heresies, about mistake that appeared in history and were connected with these two centers. So we will start to speak. This lesson will be dedicated to Antioch of Syria, and next will be dedicated to Alexandria of Egypt. Why? Because without these two cities, we cannot, how does it say, speak completely about Christian East, because Christian East and Christian spirituality, theology, liturgy, we are formed in history in geographical east of Roman Empire, and to these cities in the history of the church, they became centers in the beginning, centers of first Christian communities, after very strong dioceses, and also because of meaning of these cities inside of Roman Empire, this status influenced also Christians and their life in these cities. For first, what we have to say, that Antioch of Syria and Alexandria of Egypt were two of the most important cities of empire. To these cities were centers of economical life, political life, cultural life, and intellectual life. Was everything in the cities concentrate: markets, trade, libraries, schools, officials of Roman Empire, and everything. Two big centers of life. And of course, Christian communities that were situated in these two cities, they also were involved in this life. So now we will put apart Alexandria of Egypt, and we will speak about Antioch Antioch, that is in modern Syria, and it's also a city of province of Syria, like part of Roman Empire. What we know about this city, like I said, is one of the most important cities in the East, and biblically, St. Paul, if you read the Acts of Apostles, you know this, that St. Paul started all three his missionary journeys from Antioch. It was in his generation, it was big Christian congregation there, very strong and big and influent. And before, do every of his journeys, he went there. Antioch was the beginning always for him. And what is another very interesting fact, that Christians were named for first time Christians. This name appeared in history first time in Antioch of Syria. First time there, people named, church and people that believed in Christ, Christians. So originally we have also in Bible the Antioch like a center of spiritual life. But it's not only this. Was very big Jewish diaspora there. Like I said, it was center of region. It was economical center, political, cultural, intellectual. And this city, we know also like one of the five patriarchs of Christian church in the first millennium. The first patriarch is a Greek word that means father. So the first patriarch was the Bishop of Rome, the main hierarch in the church. After him were another three, and two of them were the Bishop of Antioch, the Bishop of Alexandria, and was some competition between them who is the second. And fourth was Bishop of Jerusalem, not because just Jerusalem was important like a city in Roman Empire. It was not important like nothing, but it was small, it was destroyed by Romans, but it became important when empire became a Christian empire, and Jerusalem became center of pilgrimages, and were built many churches there. And Bishop of Jerusalem, small Christian congregation, became like a patriarch because of his status to be Bishop of Jerusalem. After appeared the Bishop of Constantinople, new empire, when emperors moved from Emperor Constantine moved his capital from Rome to a small town Byzantium that he changed in Constantinople and started to build new blocks, new neighborhoods, new boroughs, and pretty fast it became second capital, and Bishop of Constantinople became second. But Bishop of Antioch also was important. And there are few very important personalities, father of the church, that made a name for Antioch, like one of the Christian capitals. And the name of these people are Theodoros of Tarsus, Theodore of Mopsuesta, Theodoret of Kir. They all were bishops, but most known for a regular Christian is John Chrysostom. John Chrysostom also was from Antiochia. And so what we can say, these people and another people, not only this that I mentioned, they are the most famous, known, like creators of theology, like people that commented Bible, like bishops, preachers. First, Antiochia is the motherland for our liturgy, because the liturgy of St. John Chrysostom that he created, he didn't create it, after wake up, in the morning early. No, he brought some text and some liturgical order that was used in Antioch. He brought it in Constantinople when he became a patriarch of Constantinople, bishop of Constantinople. And for foundation of his liturgy that he introduced in practice in Constantinople, he used the text and order of liturgy that was celebrated in Antioch, because he was a son of Antioch. I'm speaking now about this, Christian environment of Antioch. So we could say that our liturgy is rooted there in Antioch in some way. Also, we can speak, if we speak about Antioch, I would like to, I prefer to say the school of Antioch. When I will say this, the school of Antioch, please think about big intellectual and Christian inheritance, theology, liturgy, Bible comments, different rites that started to exist because of this Christian environment, about these names that I mentioned. And we say that existed the school of Antioch. Theological, liturgical, biblical, and this school, it's one of the sources of Eastern Christian spirituality, theology, and liturgy. Not the one, not the unique, but one of the sources from which our tradition came. So, but when we will say the school of Antioch, we will mean generally all this inheritance that is spiritual, theological, intellectual, liturgical, and all these famous people. For not mix you up and not make you sleep, I don't want to speak too much about theology of school of Antioch, because in context of Christology we could say that the school of Antioch was more concentrated on separation of natures inside of Christ than in this union of natures inside of Christ. We will speak a little bit later about this when we will speak about heresies, but what is really interesting that we could stop and reflect a little bit more, because it's, how does it say, could be more familiar to us and also affects our lives, spiritual lives. It's biblical approach of the school of Antioch. Their way to command Holy Bible and their way to live the revelation of God. And when we will speak about this, you will see how it's still present in our spirituality and how we are connected with them with these bishops, with this father of the church, and with this inheritance of Antioch. So, first, like I said, in Antioch existed a very big, huge, and powerful in some way Jewish community. And when you read, for example, the rights of Ephraim of Syria, he also belongs to the school of Antioch. He was a monk from Syria, but he was close to this environment in the same province. This father of the church from 300, from 4th century, comments Bible in very Old Testament in very similar way like rabbis do this. It's very similar comparisons and very similar approach to many things. Of course, he is Christian. He considered the presence of Christ in Old Testament also. But comparisons are very, very similar. I think it's my point of view that approach to common Bible in Antioch was very, very connected with this Old Testament tradition approach. And what we speak about historical lateral meaning. The father of the church that belong to the school of Antioch, that are not afraid to speak about revelation of God in history. They easily come back to different events that happened in history and speak how these events influenced our now. So, historical lateral approach. Second, they have a lot of moral comments of Bible. I will try to explain myself. So, when you read Bible, when you take it, first you meet lateral meaning. Lateral meaning is, direct understanding of what is said. For example, Abraham brought his son Isaac to some hill, to some mount that is considered like future mount Zion, for sacrifice him to the top of this mount to God, because God revealed him his will. Go there and sacrifice your son Isaac. So the literal meaning is here. Abraham took his son and went to the top of the hill and started sacrifice his son. But there is another meaning. It's moral meaning. And or better say, how this text influences my life and how I have to live my life, what I have to do reading this text. It's like a lesson of moral life, an example. So Abraham listened God, and he didn't say him, no, I won't do this because it's my son, I waited for him all my life. No, but he obeyed God and he realized his will. And moral meaning of this text is that we have to follow the will of God. Do you understand me? For example, it's lateral meaning, what happened. Moral meaning, it's what I have to do reading this text. What is the moral lesson of this text? And here, John Chrysostom was the best. It's 90% of all his writes. He commented Old Testament, he commented New Testament. He also left different rites for families, for brides and grooms, for priests. He was a teacher, he was a pedagogue, he was formator of Christians. And it was his favorite approach to read Bible, and after share, also preach. He was a bishop, he was a patriarch in capital. He could speak with people of capital, reading them Bible and teaching them how they have to live according to the will of God, using the text of Bible. How they have to direct their lives to God. And he was probably the best representative of this, moral approach to read Bible. So it's mean how this text influences my life. What I have to do, how I have to live, what is good and what is bad, and how this text teach me about this. But historical meaning, collateral, moral meaning of Holy Bible. Another moment that was very important in Antioch and belonged to Antioch school, it's typological understanding of revelation. And it sounds difficult, it sounds not clear, but now you will see how easy it is. Tupos, it's Greek word that represents this approach to Bible, this considering of revelation of God. And tupos in Greek could be translated in English like prototype. Prototype. It's another, it's one of the kinds of symbolism that is present in Bible and was used a lot by school of Antioch, by father of the church that belonged to this environment. I will offer you example, and in this way you will be able to understand me. What does it mean tupos? What does it mean prototype in Bible? It's like a shadow of an image. And for father of the church, they were Christians, not rabbis. In some of their comments, they were very close to this Judaic way to comment Bible in Antioch, but they were Christians. And for them, Christ was the point of union between Old Testament and New Testament. So, for them, Old Testament was like a prototype, like a shadow of New Testament, like a tupos. It's like, I don't remember who from the father of the church said this, that New Testament is hidden in Old Testament, and Old Testament is completely revealed and opened and cleared in New Testament. And Christ, the person of Messiah, is this point of union between two testaments. So, example. We go to the book of Numbers, chapter 21, verses from 6 to 9. I will read them. people of Israel are in the desert. They left Egypt, but they still didn't achieve the promised land. And they have many problems and troubles in the desert. One of them, in punishment, the Lord sent among the people sort of serpents, which beat the people so that many of them died. When the people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned in complaining against the Lord, and you pray the Lord to take the serpents from us." So Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord said to Moses, "Make a seraph and mount it on a pole. And if anyone who has been beaten looks at it, he will recover." Moses accordingly made a bronze serpent and mounted it on a pole. And whenever anyone who had been bitten by a serpent looked at the bronze serpent, he recovered. You know this text. Many serpents, many scorpions, they create problems, and God said to Moses, "Create you this bronze, or is it correct to say copper serpent, lift it up and make people come to this serpent on the pole, and they will be healed." Literal meaning, it's a fact that we read. This is literal meaning. Moral meaning would be God takes care about his people, and we have to, follow his will, not complain to different difficulties. And also we have to understand that without God we cannot resolve our problems. For example, it's for example, it's not St. John Chrysostom, it's me. But typological meaning here, if we say that this serpent is a shadow of a real image, if this serpent is only prototype of something, what is the image? Gospel of St. John, 3rd chapter, verses 14-15. The words of Christ. "Just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the desert, so much the Son of Man be lifted up, so that everyone who believes in him may have eternal life." So, do you understand the puzzle? The piece of puzzles came together. What does it mean, typos? What does it mean, prototype? The serpent, the desert, that was done by will of God in very interesting way. They were suffering and dying by bites of serpents, so the salvation for them was in the image of serpent. Also was a pole there, and they were coming and healing, only looking on the serpent. So, and all of this, it's only prophecy, only prototype of Christ that will save our lives on his cross, and he will be like we are. He saved us from death, accepting death. Another example. There are many of them. We will speak about this little bit, because this is what we really live in our tradition, Eastern tradition. When we read Bible, when we pray, when we have this spiritual experience, liturgical experience, we are very rooted with this Antioch environment. The book of Exodus, the chapter 16, and it's from fourth verse and another. It's about bread from heaven, about manna. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will now rain down bread from heaven for you. I don't need to read for you another verses, because you know this. You know this. They were hungry. They were angry with Moses. You brought us out from Egypt. We were slaves there, but we had our full stomachs there. They fed us. And now we will die from hunger. We don't have no food, nothing. And God said to Moses, so inform them that I will give them every day the bread from heaven, manna. And it will come from heaven every day, but they cannot keep this bread for next day. Only eat it today when I give them this. And it was life for them. They survived in the desert because they had this bread from heaven, this manna in the desert. The Gospel of St. John, 3rd chapter, verse 51. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whatever eats this bread will live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world. Okay, I don't need to add nothing, it's clear. So, the bread, material, bodily bread that people of Israel had in the desert was source of life for them, because desert didn't offer them nothing to survive. It's dead land. It doesn't have water, it doesn't have food, it doesn't have nothing. Only death around, and nothing to survive. And God sent the bread from heaven, and they were alive, eating bodily this bread. And this is prototype. This is typos. This is shadow of real image. And the real bread is Christ. And we also live in the desert of this world. This world, sometimes is terrible, sometimes is beautiful. It has a lot of things, but it doesn't have nothing for give us life everlasting. We die in this world. It's like a spiritual desert for us. I'm not about steaks, hot dogs, good wine, candies. For our bodies we have a lot here, but for our souls, nothing. It's like a desert. Like desert was real desert was a place of death for people of Israel bodily. Material world in which we live is a desert for us spiritually, for our souls. And God sent His bread from heaven, that is Jesus Christ. That is source of life for us, because He is sharing with us divine life when we accept communion, the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. I am the bread from heaven. The bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world. If we are in Old Testament and we are in the desert, we also can speak about the rock, because it's close. If you remember, the people of Israel had trouble in the desert with everything. They took with them some water when they were leaving Egypt. They took with them some food, some bread, but in few days they consumed everything. They didn't have water, bread, meat, nothing. And they were scared that they will die in the desert without these needs. And God made many miracles also, not only with manna, with bread from heaven, but He made many miracles with water. And one of them was the rock that became the source of water for people of Israel. It's Exodus, the chapter 17. I will be standing there in front of you on the rock in Horeb. Strike the rock, and the water will flow from it for the people to drink. And God made through Moses this miracle. He hit with his stick the rock, and water went out from it. St. Paul, in his letter, in his first letter to Corinthians, chapter 10, said, all ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from a spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was the Christ. So, St. Paul, using this typological approach to Common Bible, see in this rock in the desert source of life, Jesus Christ. Here, everything that I'm saying to you now, it's typological approach that Bible itself offers to us. For example, Christ himself go back in Old Testament and explain to his disciples that these verses, these parts of Holy Bible, these prophecies were about him. And also St. Paul does the same. He goes back to Old Testament and explain some part of it in context of coming of Messiah. Another example, also from St. Paul, it's Passover. It's also very huge, piece of text. I won't read everything, but you can find it. It's Exodus chapter 12. It's about last punishment from God for Egyptians. This number 10. About angel of death that went to cities and towns, taking the lives of firstborn children, and about sacrifice that people of Israel made according to the will of God that was revealed to prophet Moses. They sacrificed a pure animal, a lamb. They used its blood for mark their doors. In this way, the angel of the death, when was coming to Egypt, didn't enter in the houses of Jews, because he saw the blood of sacrificed lamb. And after, the will of God was this: cook the lamb and eat it, but not break its bones. And if you read this laterally, you can understand about blood. Okay, blood, sacrifice, like sign for angel of death, but why they have to eat this without breaking bones? It's like we don't eat, we slice always something, we cut it in pieces, it's more comfortable, it's easy to serve, it's easy to keep it on table, but there, in this context, it sounds very strange. Eat the lamb of sacrifice without breaking bones. And next day, they left Egypt. and it was the sacrifice of Passover. So when your children ask you, what does this rite of yours mean, you shall reply this. You shall reply, this is the Passover sacrifice of the Lord, who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt. When he struck down the Egyptians, he spared our houses. So you know this part of Bible. If not, please come and check Exodus chapter 12 about sacrifice of Passover. So St. Paul, first letter of Corinthians, the chapter 5th. Clear out the old yeast, so that you may become a fresh batch of dough. Inasmuch as you are unleavened, for our Passover lamb, Christ, has been sacrificed. And when we have, when we live our Easter time in Eastern Christian tradition, before Pascha, before Easter, we read prophecies about Christ. And one of prophecies that we read is sacrifice of Passover. And after we read in our services, during our services, we read Gospels of sufferings of Christ. It's like right before Easter, in Holy Week, during Holy Week. And it's so clear when we read like two criminals, they were crucified close to Christ. Got their broken bones because Romans wanted to kill them before Passover that was coming, and they didn't do the same with Christ. Do you understand the mechanism of the cross? You know, they were breathing to lift their bodies a little bit, you know, higher, and with broken bones on the legs, they could not do this. And it was like, how you say it, stroke. They could not, struggling, yes, they could not breathe because they could not use their own legs to, you know, to push. So when they came to Christ, he already was dead on the cross, and they didn't touch his legs. They didn't break his legs, his bones, because they, you know, they intended to help them to die more faster, for not leave them on the crosses for Passover, because Christ was crucified on Friday, and Friday evening it was beginning of Passover, Nisan 14, and Jews asked Roman soldiers, help them to die as soon as possible, because it's Passover, they cannot leave bodies, they cannot leave also suffering people dying for so big feast. When they came to Christ, his bones, they didn't need to break his bones, his legs, because he was already dead. And also, of course, we consider Jesus Christ like this lamb, like sacrifice for us. Like people of Israel were saved in Egypt, in slavery of Egypt, by blood of this lamb. And when angel of death saw this blood on their doors, that already was, you know, offered for life, the angel of death left them and went, you know, alone to meet Egyptians. So it's a prototype, a stupus of us, that we live in slavery of our sins, in slavery of this world, and we're subjected to death. But death does not touch us because the blood of this Lamb that is Christ was offered for us. Because of his sacrifice, because of his death, we are free from death. And do you remember the words of St. John Baptizer? This is the Lamb of God who takes the sins of the world. So this is another prototype, another tupos for understand this. Also, we have this not only in Rites of St. Paul, we have it not only in words of Christ, we have it in first letter of St. Peter, and it's about flute. Another good example, good explanation of what does it mean tupos in Bible and what does it mean to comment Bible using this approach. So the flute, it's Genesis from 6th chapter. I am about to bring the flute on the earth to destroy everywhere all creatures in which there is the breath of life. Everything on earth shall perish, but with you, Noah, I will establish my covenant. And you also knew this story very well. So whole world became corrupted and got far from God, and God decided to destroy this corrupted world and like rebuild it to one righteous man that was Noah and his family. The ark of Noah became like a seed of new world with righteous people there and with animals. Small seed saved from all this corruption and death. And waters of flood brought death to all creation, all and old creation, but also the water of flood brought a life for righteous and his family. The same water was the caused the death of old creation, and the same water caused the life of righteous and his family. So St. Peter in his first letter said, who had once been disobedient while God patiently waited in the days of Noah during the building of the ark, in which a few persons, 8 in all, were saved through water. This prefigurate baptism, which saves you now. You see the approach of St. Peter. What we live in sacrament of baptism. Some of us consider this like a tradition, like a rite that we have to do with children. But in reality, it's very deep sacrament, because during baptism, I am like old creation corrupted by death. I am dying in the water in baptismal waters. Baptismal water like a flood that brings death for old creation. But the same water of baptism, it's a life for me, like a new creation in God. Do you understand me? So, like the same water caused the death of corrupted old world and life to righteous and new covenant with Him, the same during baptism. We die like old creation, like children of Adam in these waters. But we go out from the baptismal waters like righteous, like children of Christ, for create this new covenant with God. We very close, so another typos, another prototype is the ark of Noah, as this ship that he built according to the will of God, and he brought pairs of animals there, and he was safe there. And like I said, this ship, this ark, became like a seed of new world. And from this seed, from this ark, God recreated whole creation. It's another very deep symbol that Father of the Church used a lot, many of them. They said this is a church. This is Church of Christ in the world. And all this world, it's like a flood. There is death around. But if we inside of the church, we're like we are inside of the Ark of Noah during flood. Church is this seed of new life that God will recreate in life everlasting. Okay, are we here? So, all these examples that I offered you, they, most of them come from Bible. They come from Bible. Bible offers us this way to read itself like a typos. Old Testament is revealed in New Testament. New Testament is hidden in Old Testament. But Christ is the point of union. And Father of the Church that belong to this Antioch tradition, they used a lot this approach. They used examples offered by Bible, but also they found many another examples of typos, prototypes, and used this way to understand the revelation of God in their books, in their rites, in their preachings, in their sermons, in their letters. And when, it's clear, if you belong to Eastern Christian tradition, you meet this every time. We use this the same. We are very rooted in this approach, and it's why I say that School of Antioch became like one of the sources of Eastern spirituality. It's like a place of born some way. We can speak about this without limits, but it's only some main ideas that I wanted to offer you, and most of all about Bible. So now we have 5 minutes and we will speak about heresies, because how School of Antioch was concentrated on historical moral approach and this typological reading of Bible. Usually for them, person of Christ was very important in context of history. And for them very important was pull attention on human part of Christ and also divine part of Christ. When we will speak about School of Alexandria, you will see the difference. It's incredible. It's completely different approach. But here, they considered Christ like part of human history in space and time. And in one person that also belonged to School of Antioch, it went too far. It was Nestorius, and he also was Patriarch of Constantinople, Archbishop of Constantinople, Patriarch. its second name that I today mention. What does it mean? That Antioch was so important for church that people from there became Patriarch of Constantinople, like it was with Sir John Chrysostom, like it was with Nestorius. But with this one, it went differently. He was Archbishop of Constantinople from 428 until 431, so 3 years. But in one of his sermons, he named Theotokos. Probably if people that watch us belong to Roman Church, they don't understand what does it mean, but in Eastern tradition we always mention in our liturgy Mother of God, like Theotokos. Here it's in Greek. Theotokos means Mother of God. Theos is God, Tokos is who, how does it say, bears the God, you know, God, Theotokos. So Nestorius, like Archbishop, like Patriarch from in his cathedral, probably during Sunday Mass, he named Mother of God not Theotokos but Christotokos, the Mother of Christ, not Mother of God, but Mother of Christ. And what we know about his theology, first, like I said, he didn't consider Mother of God Mary like Mother of God, but considered her like Mother of Christ, Christotokos. Why? Because for him was so important theologically to speak about two distinct hypostases in incarnate Christ, divine and human. He named this, it was named prosopic union. I will explain what does it mean. So, according to his teaching, we say, of our, considering of his teaching, was two persons inside of Christ. Two natures and two persons. Christ, like a man with his own personality, and Christ, like a God with divine personality. And Mary in this way cannot be considered like Mother of God, but she is considered like Mother of Christ, because she gave birth to a man that is Christ. We 100% don't know what really was his teaching, because he was attacked after his sermon by different people, and the main enemy was Cyril from Alexandria. He was a bishop of Alexandria, and he was a patriarch of Alexandria, and we will speak about Alexandria next time, and you will see why they attacked them, because they had completely different approach to things, completely different understanding of God, revelation of God, action of God. They looked on the world completely with different eyes, from different perspective. But also, like I said, Alexandria was in competition with Antioch for their importance.
Oh, man.
So it was another reason why he was attacked. And of course all his rights were destroyed, because he was considered like heretic on Third Ecumenical Council of Ephesus 431, and Cyril of Alexandria offered his explanation, and he accused Nestorius in heresy, so the teaching of the council was hypostatic union, that in Christ there is union of human and divine nature, but with only one person, divine person, this hypostasy of Son of God. Not two persons, but one person and two natures. It's what we believe and what we proclaim when we do the sign of the cross, you know. We put these three fingers together, like say that God is one in Trinity, three in one, and Christ is man and God, but only one personality, not two persons. But the interesting moment that we really don't know what Nestorius offered like his theology, because everything was destroyed because of this accusation. And Cyril of Alexandria he's one of the saints of the church, but we can see in this conflict also, how does it say, like jealousy, some kind of conflict and jealousy, because Alexandria pretended to be number 2 after Rome. And also when appeared Constantinople like number 2, Alexandria and Antiochia were in comparison about who will take care about Constantinople. And I don't know why, probably Antioch was more close to capital, but more people from Antioch, entered in Constantinople environment than from Alexandria. And of course, for Cyril, destroy the Patriarch Nestorius, that is from Antiochia, it was chance to show that Alexandria is more orthodox, more right, and has more privileges be there. But it's what we have historically, his sermon, that in which Nestorius named Theotokos Christotokos, Mary, not mother of God, but mother of Christ. And also we know from memories of Ecumenical Council of Ephesus that his teaching was this, that Christ, he spoke about Christ like about prosopic union, two natures and two persons in Christ. But the Orthodox, the right teaching of the Church and dogma of the Church, that is hypostatic union, two natures but one person in Christ. So in this way, little bit about heresy, but more about Bible and spirituality. Thank you so much. Glory to Jesus Christ.